We move to college football now. We have found out that Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey will skip their bowl games to focus on the NFL draft. So, Dylan, we have a hypothetical for you. What kind of uproar would take place if Deshaun Watson, the quarterback of Clemson, decided to focus on the draft rather than participate in the college football playoff?
Well, CT, I mean, this is quite the hypothetical. This wouldn't have happened. I don't really see a scenario where this would have happened. And if it did, it would have received a lot of backlash. What are you going to say? I mean, part of the reason I think a lot of people understand and are totally fine with both Fournette and McCaffrey's decision is because their bowl games are just bowl games that in the end are going to make a ton of money for these schools, for the NCAA. They're going to generate tons of money, of which none McCaffrey or Fournette are going to see. But the pride element of playing for a national championship is always going to have a high-level, competitive kind of players, superstars of their team, if you will, like McCaffrey is, like Fournette is, and like in this instance, Deshaun Watson is. They're always going to play. Especially Deshaun Watson has no injuries. There's nothing really that would keep him away from the field like with Fournette and McCaffrey. I think people would make a much bigger deal about it, and I would understand why people would make a much bigger deal about it, and I think it would receive a lot more backlash if someone still had an opportunity to capture a national championship and then said, nah, I'm good, I'm not going to play.
Yeah, that just wouldn't happen.
Would not happen.
Your initial point, Deshaun
Unrealistic
Watson.
Scenario.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson went to the championship last year. So the thing that he has been working towards all season long is to try to get back to that point. Now that he's there in the semifinals, to think that Deshaun Watson would not play in this game, obviously is absurd. I wonder, though, maybe if it's a higher level player in a more prestigious bowl game, you know, if you're not in the college football playoff, but you are in the Rose Bowl, if that's not one of the games, that's a part of college football playoff, but it's still an elite bowl game, Outback Bowl, something like that, I wonder what type of uproar would that be? Could we potentially see a legit player, if he was in that position, decide not to play in that scenario?
I think so.
Okay,
I draw a not a gray, a black line that to me is the line in the sand. If you have an opportunity to play for a national championship,
you play.
You should play.
Okay.
And there are other situations where if you're really battling an injury, you're less than 60% because you're coming back from a surgery, then yeah, I still understand not playing. You're still not getting paid. And the goal, any college, whether you're an electrician or a football player, is to give yourself the opportunity to go and make money professionally. That's what the trade of going to school for, whether you're a football player or not. But I draw the line. If you have an opportunity to play for a national championship, then you play for one.
Okay.
If you don't, I don't care how glitzy and glamorous the
Rose
bowl
Bowl,
game is.
whatever.
It's still not a chance. So what? We won the Rose Bowl, and we're 5th place. I know the Rose Bowl carries a lot of cachet, but it doesn't carry cash. And for me, a lot of these kids, they work so hard and make so many sacrifices for their families, for themselves, to go and allow themselves the opportunity to attain generational wealth. The Rose Bowl ain't getting you there, and unless there's a national championship trophy on the other side, inside of that college football playoff bubble, then I have absolutely no problem, no matter what the reputation of any given bowl, whether it's the Cheetos Bowl or the Rose Bowl, it doesn't matter. I have no problem with guys not playing.
And, of course, I don't know McCaffrey's situation, but I do know Fournette has a daughter named Lyric that he's trying to provide for, look out for, and to your point, set her up for the future that, you know, she'll be in good shape financially. So certainly for players who have a family or children, you know, to think about, that should be an easy decision, really.
I agree with you. And I think that's why McCaffrey, I made this point at the top of the show, I think that's why McCaffrey's getting a little bit more flack than Fournette, because McCaffrey's pops played in the NFL. So I think some people will just judge from the outside and say, you don't need that.
Okay.
Your family's probably well off because your dad played in the league. Leonard Fournette's dad didn't play in the league, and he's got a daughter. We can understand trying to secure that type of money for his family.
Right.
But McCaffrey don't need it. It's all judgment that people don't need to make, and McCaffrey wants to carve out his own legacy, his own career. They're both battling injuries, and I can totally understand and would make the same decision if I was in their shoes.
Both of those players certainly had great college careers. It will be interesting to see what type of impact they can have at the NFL level.